This whole no kings protests, rallies, whatever you want to call them, movements are just so very, I don't know, frustrating, annoying, dumb, pointless. I don't know what the word is. I guess it's every single one of those just kind of smashed together and just make a new emotion and come up with some kind of word for it. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about it. Not like there needs to be further explanation. People with a brain know how dumb this is, but let's just break it down. So to start, one thing I want to ask is, you know, this is now the third rally that they've had, which means, there's already two, obviously. So what was achieved the first two times that you think a third time is going to produce any kind of results? Oh yeah, that's right. Nothing. They've already had two that did nothing. And now they're putting on this third one, which, well, not put on. At this time of recording, it already happened. It was yesterday at this point. But you know what I mean? It's a third one now that will also yield no results at all. And why is that? Well, there's plenty of reasons for that. One reason is because, last time I checked, Trump wasn't a king. So your protests, your rallies, whatever you want to say, are literally for nothing. You are protesting something that doesn't exist. So how do you expect there to be change when the thing that you want to change doesn't exist in the first place? You know what I mean? This would be like going to a vegan restaurant and protesting people eating meat. It's not happening there. Nobody in there's eating meat. It makes no sense. Same as this. You're going to go to a rally and protest, oh, no kings. There isn't one. Not only has Trump never been one, currently isn't one, but he also will never be one. Come November 2028, there'll be another election, somebody will win, and come January 29th, he'll move out, and the new president will go in. The other thing that I think about is, these people are such fools. Like, do they not even, future plan and think ahead? What I mean is they cry about Trump being a king and all this, and oh, no kings in this country. But what happens in January now when he does move out, like he's going to do? Well, January 2029, and he moves out, and you guys threw on all these protests and rallies and stuff. What then? Now you just look like a bunch of idiots, which you are. But it's like you're so dumb that in the moment you don't even see your problems, and then when that time comes, you'll probably come up with some new thing to cry about and act like, oh, he's only moving out because we had all these protests. See, they were successful, or something stupid. The other thing is, I'm pretty sure in November 2024, there was a election that happened, and Trump won over Kamala by 2.25 million votes. He ended up with 86 more electoral college votes than her, and he won every single swing state. Now, I think somebody that wins in an election like that isn't a king. It's the people telling their voice and making the decision and the choice that they want. Majority of people chose Trump to be the president, so how does that make him a king? Just because it wasn't your candidate, so all of a sudden that means that he's a king? I don't understand how that works. What I also find kind of weird is these people want to make all these protests and rallies and cry about this, about Trump being president, but it's like, okay, so you're throwing a tantrum because it wasn't your candidate. So someone else wins it. It's wrong, apparently. Like, we can't have our president. It was okay when you had Biden, though, right? Or Obama, or any of these other failed candidates that ended up making it to the White House. But then we have somebody that we choose, and now you gotta protest it and act like it's terrible and we gotta get rid of him? 75 million people said they wanted him. But you think because it wasn't Kamala that you're gonna just protest against that? It doesn't even make sense. And I don't think I'm explaining it right because it's so dumb I can't get myself down to that level of stupidity to properly be able to have the right words to explain how dumb it is. But I hope you, viewer, understand what I'm trying to say. Basically, I should have had this picture on that last bit that I was saying, because this is exactly what they're doing. They didn't get Kamala, so they're going to throw fits and cry and make up scenarios. Oh, king, yeah, he's trying to be a king. Oh, which I don't even understand what they're saying is so kingly. What is he doing that's trying to be a king? I mean, last time I checked, kings are all about power. They want to be government as big as possible because as the central figure of the government, as the head of the government, that means that's their power. Last time I checked, Trump is making the government smaller. He's been cutting tons of governmental jobs. Doge in the beginning cut a lot of waste, and he's still going through doing this. So he's a king. How? Does Kim Jong Un? I mean, he's not a king, but it's similar. Does he have a small government? Last time I checked, he was the government. Last time I checked, they have elections where he gets every single vote. Trump didn't get every single vote. Trump doesn't have huge government, so where's the kingness coming from? Here we go. I was one meme behind again. This is exactly what I just said. Not only does he want to shrink the government, he has, but somehow that makes him a king. But then this idiot, Mamdani, they had no problem voting for him, and he sucks. I mean, anybody with a brain knew he was going to suck, and now that he's in office, he's been failing. But that's besides the point. What we're talking about is this dumb no kings nonsense. So, but, just a visual to follow up with what I just said. So anyways, that's one thing why this is a failure. The second reason why this is a failure, their whole no kings thing and nothing changes, is because the way that they do this is stupid. They just what? In New York, they coagulate in the streets. Okay, that's supposed to that's supposed to teach Trump a lesson? What lesson? all you're doing is inconveniencing the rest of New York, who isn't a bunch of idiots and are trying to just live their normal lives. Now they got to find a detour because you're in the middle of the road. Or like where I live in a small town, and you got people that like coagulate over by an intersection. Okay, it's a busy intersection for our town, but at the end of the day, what do you think you're achieving standing on the side of the road with some stupid signs and a few people beep at you? Like, you're literally achieving nothing. And yeah, let's keep doing this, third time. And at this rate, they've had 3. And Trump's been president for his second term for what, a year and 4 months? So let's just say 15 months to make an easy number. That means on average they have one every 5 months. So it's almost April. Let's just say it's April. That's 4, month 4 plus 5, 9. So in September they're going to have another one. And again, no results, no nothing. We're just going to keep having these just because. Yet the overall irony is they cry that Trump is a king for unknown reasons. I don't know why they think this. I seriously don't. I'm not even trying to be like rhetorical right now or anything. I really don't know why they think this. But yet, their candidates have always done a lot of things that kind of are authoritarian. Case in point right here, this dickhead. I used ICE to deport 3 million Americans. At the same time, I bombed 7 countries without congressional approval. Where was your outrage then? Obviously, he's not really holding that sign, but the message is true. Like, yeah. Did you ever see any protests against Obama when he was doing this crap? Nope. How about when he was saying you need to have my crappy health insurance or pay a penalty at the end of the year? Didn't hear anything then. Or how about when this dickhead was constantly on TV telling us that we had to be 6 feet apart, and we couldn't go to restaurants, and you had to stay home, and you couldn't go to the beach, and this and that and everything else. The left all just went along with it and acted like everything was fine. Even though it was proven that those dumb things that he was saying weren't working, and that the disease wasn't even as serious as the whole entire media was making it out to be. But, no outrage then. And I mean, if you really want to get technical, the closest thing we've had to like a dictator was Biden. This is all his crap right here. I'm not going to read all this, but it's there. You can look through it if you want. But, some of the biggest things I can think of are when, he was saying that you had to get the vaccine or you couldn't work. You were gonna lose your job if you didn't get vaccinated. Or when he tried to do his stupid student loan forgiveness, Supreme Court tells him, no, you can't do that. And he says, we'll find a way. Where was the outrage then? You want to talk about a king? How about his blood red, Hitler-esque style speech that he gave? I didn't hear any outrage then. But Trump, somehow that's a king. That's someone trying to be kingly. And then I just want to pop this meme in here because, it's kind of funny. They cry about Trump being a king, and then case in point with this. Imagine going to a No Kings protest and screaming about a man who's literally removed 2 of the biggest dictators on planet Earth over the last 4 months. The one from Iran and Maduro. He's taking out the bad leaders that they supposedly are against, no kings, and yeah, what? And then I just got to think overall, like, these people just don't make sense. Like, they cry about Trump being a king, but think about all the countries that actually have kings or dictators or anything like that. First off, they probably don't even know what's going on in the world because their media is heavily censored and monitored and stuff. But like, it's just so embarrassing how dumb leftists are here to cry like we have a bad situation when there actually are people living with truly bad situations. Anyways, my time's up, so thanks for listening and have a great day.